Hello, welcome to Sugar, Silk and Stretch, a unique boxing podcast brought to you exclusively by Ace Podcast Nation. My name's Ben Doughty.
My name is Michael Silk Olajide.
And I'm Gary Stretch.
They said, apparently that was the Marlon Brando school of acting. You had to really drag it out. That was how you really made your lines legendary, if you were a little slower the way you deliver them, huh?
When you've only got one line in the movie, you say,
Yeah.
Gotta lengthen
Listen, guys.
Screen time. Screen time is important.
Yes. Listen, guys, the first thing I want to talk about before we get onto the weekend's upcoming action is the Ryan Garcia situation, because as you will know, both of you...
Just remind me, is that the fight I won?
No,
he tested...
You lost, in fact.
Yeah. He tested positive for Ostarine. Two failed tests conducted by VADA. One was the day before the fight, I believe, and one was on the day of the fight. Those samples were taken from him. They both revealed Ostarine, which is a performance-enhancing drug. Apparently, it's a SARM, S-A-R-M. I don't exactly know what a SARM is precisely because I'm not an expert on steroids and performance-enhancing drugs.
SARM is a book in the Bible, isn't it?
Yeah, a SARM. So you always have to come up with something inane like that, you know, just to try and take us down some other avenue. If you could merely focus on putting your head in the middle of the screen so people can see you in your ludicrously photogenic entirety, that would be fine from my point of view. Now listen, just keep.
I'll tell you what I'll tell you what I think. Going off the cuff, I did a little research. First of all, the substance that is in question is generally an oral in 3 milligram tablets.
Yes.
And that would suggest, first and foremost, he tested negative all the way up to the fight, all the way through training, all the way up, random, all the way. Yes, it's all the tests have been done all the way up to the fight. So nothing was taken.
So he's only failed these two. He didn't fail the other ones.
Brilliant. So all the others were clean, and that's all the training. So
did they test for Ostarine? Is what I'm saying.
Let me finish. All the tests were negatives, and that means prior. So all of the time in which the substance would have been beneficial is in training, recovery, strength, all of the bullshit. It would do no help at all to take this pill a day before a fight. Yeah. I honestly believe in my heart that someone's done him up, because
hearts don't count.
I tell you for why. It doesn't make sense that he goes negative. It is a very easy. It's not an injectable. It's an oral, and to take it a day before a fight does zero effect. Doesn't help. Doesn't do anything.
Okay, but wait a second, Gary. You know that, right? We know that, or we now know that. But who's to say he didn't know that? He knew that or didn't know it. So
I'm sure whoever's giving it to him, I'm sure if he's guilty, they know how it works.
Yeah, exactly. But the thing is, it isn't the fact whether he took it leading up to the fight or not. It's the fact that he took it. So if he took it before getting in the ring and it had no effect, he doesn't know that. He thinks it has an effect.
And the other thing, Silk, the other thing is, does it say in the rules it's okay to take performance-enhancing drugs that are otherwise banned as long as you take them the day before? Just don't take them in camp. Or else, if you take them in camp, don't get detected. Make sure you pass those tests and fail the later one.
No, but whoever's, obviously, this is something you don't just make it up. Whoever's taken it or given it to him knows the ins and outs of how it performs. So it's not like someone said it's good, he took a pill. Rubbish. Whoever's done it, it's a plan. They know how it works. You have to do these performance-enhancing drugs. It's not just random. There's a way of taking them that make you perform better, and that's over a long period of time. They help recovery, give strength, faster recovery, all of the things that are beneficial. And so all of the benefits that he would get would have been, and he's obviously been advised by someone, would have been during a camp 8-10 weeks before. And so to take it when the day before this, it's irrelevant. And he's obviously informed if he's guilty. So it doesn't make any sense to me at all. I'm not defending him. I'm just saying it does not make sense.
But it does make sense. And not everything has to make sense either. It's just the fact that it is what it is. You don't test positive for this drug if you've never taken it. It's impossible to test for it if you've never taken
Let
it.
me ask you this: there was a lot of, I mean, before the fight, he was upsetting a lot of people, right?
Yeah. Well,
You know,
and
He
he was
wasn't.
making a lot
He
of
was
people
just acting
happy.
out. He wasn't upsetting people, really. He was just
Yeah.
acting out.
no, there was accusations, very serious ones that were crazy.
You're
And
going to say the elites have come from Gary. The elites
I
have
don't
come from
know.
because
I
he's going to
don't. I'm not
expose their
saying.
labyrinthine paedophile ring. So the
I
elites
don't.
have come
I
after him.
don't know who's come through, but he made a lot of enemies, and it's. I don't know. All I know is the way in which so far until we get the full information, the way in which prior he was negative all the way through camp. They said they've tested him weekly, multiple tests all through prior to the fight, all negative, and then the day of the fight, 2 tests positive.
Who
Well,
said
no, one was the day
who
before the
said he
fight.
was tested
On the
weekly?
night after, the night of, yes.
And he was
So
I
tested
think-
afterwards as well. And he was tested
My-
afterwards.
Here's the issue
Oh,
I have,
yeah,
Gary. Do you
right.
believe? Do you believe, Gary, that some people can cheat the tests and they have advisors, experts, pharmacists, whatever, who help them cheat the test? So do you believe you can be on something and pass a test sometimes?
absolutely, they can.
Right.
They know how to get rid of it and all of the above.
So when you take pop just the once because they're testing you so often, they catch you a couple of times. Is that not enough, no matter when it was? And does
Sure.
it necessarily mean you weren't doing it before just
No,
because you passed the other tests?
You're correct, Ben. There are ways they know how to do it.
So let's not say he definitely took it this day, which wouldn't make sense. Let's just say in the whole screening process, he's come up dirty twice. That would seem to be the more.
Well, no, you can't say that. You could say in the whole screening process has been clean, except for the day before the fight
Twice.
and the day of the fight.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean he didn't take it.
Okay, I'm going to say he's only failed 2 drug tests in the whole camp, which is pretty
In
good.
24
really.
hours, 24 hours of the fight. For the
So what? So I'm
10
tempted to say,
weeks,
so what?
for the 10 weeks prior, he was negative.
That doesn't mean a damn thing. That's a bit like saying I was only a rapist on the Sunday when the atrocity occurred. If you look at the whole month of April, I was completely. But I actually didn't even have a sex with anybody, not consensually otherwise. I was only a violent rapist.
I think you're being very unfair, and I think
I love the analogy, Ben.
you're very unfair, Ben. And I think if you were on the other side of the foot, for example, in any crime, you should be innocent until proven guilty.
Well, you're always
yes, but that doesn't work that way with drug tests. That people, if it's an allegation, if I say Ryan Garcia is a drug cheat, that he's innocent until that's proven. But when he gets tested by experts and he comes up and fails 2 tests, that is not an innocent position. That is now he needs to prove his innocence if he having standing accused.
I fully understand that, but when common sense comes into the equation and for the whole camp before he's negative, and ironically on the day of the fight and he's positive, not 2 days before, 3 days before, the day before and the night of the fight is positive. It's very strange.
Gary, you're suggesting something more sinister. You're saying somebody
They're out to get him.
Yeah,
I don't know, but I don't
because
think...
you know that's what he's saying, Michael. Michael, what he's saying, Garcia, he's saying that Haney is close to Victor Conte. Conte has influence at Varda. That's what they've done. They've stitched him up. He says, "I don't even know what Osterine is," which maybe he doesn't, but somebody does, I think.
Yeah.
You know, normally, respectfully, performance-enhancing drugs normally are for older athletes. Young athletes with massive...
Like Conor Ben.
Well, but younger
You
athletes...
don't believe...
I believe Conor's innocent.
I know you do. I know you do.
But younger athletes don't need testosterone. They got too much testosterone.
So I could give you a... But Canelo was pretty young when he got popped back in 2018. Julio Cesar Martinez.
No, Ben, very different. Canelo was going up in weight. Ryan Garcia's fighting.
He was going up in weight too. What did he buy?
No, but
before that,
he's going up in weight because he's fighting.
Davis.
He can't make the weight anymore.
And he didn't even try to make the new weight. Didn't even try to make welter.
Ben, if you're going up to different weights and you're gaining muscle and all that, sure. But this is a young kid who's growing and he's fighting the weight. He's not trying to gain the weight. He's trying to fight the weight.
Okay,
I'm sure he would have preferred to be healthy and strong and made the weight and got a world title. He can't make the weight. He knows it, so he didn't make it. He's not stupid. But he wasn't trying to...
Well, let's recap. He isn't guilty of juicing or cheating, and here's why. One, because it doesn't make sense the day that the day that he was caught, it wouldn't have made sense to take it then, and also because he's too young and he doesn't need to. This is like an absolutely watertight, robust defence you're constructing here,
No, I'm
Gary.
not, Ben. I'm just looking at reason.
Well, this Gary agrees with you for what it's worth. I think this must be something to do with the
I just
Christian name
let me
Gary.
just let's not be angry and let's talk reason, right? If
Mhm.
you're an older fighter and you don't have the testosterone or whatever, and it gives you a boost, fantastic. Most of these kids, especially Ryan Garcia, he's got too much fucking testosterone. The kid's a nightmare, and he's always been a nightmare. He hasn't changed much. He's always been unbalanced for me. So all I'm saying is, I'm not calling him innocent. I'm saying it's really strange that they can do multiple tests for 8 weeks, all negative. Day of the fight is positive.
And why would they do that to him specifically?
Yeah, can you explain why it was there in the first place then?
Yeah.
I don't have a clue, but I'm not just
Right.
going to. I'm just not going to pull a trigger on him unless I know.
Right, so here's the
I
thing.
mean, you could say that about anyone who creates.
And literally.
Yeah, literally, it's like nobody's guilty of anything unless I've seen it actually happen. All that that stuff is.
And we get this every time someone fails a drug test. We had it with Conor Benn. We've had it with so many other fighters. And my problem is,
going to deny.
how inept
hope
would these
you don't
testing
get-
agencies
I hope
be
you- I hope
if they
you
were
don't
wrong
get-
this often?
I hope you don't get accused of a crime, either one of you, and call me and say I'm innocent.
Brother, come on.
Say, guys, you're busted, Ben. You're not innocent. You're guilty before not proven innocent. It's with everything.
It's not quite the same though. That's not an analogy. If I get accused of something, then I'd hope you'd hear me out. But if they say no, we've got forensic evidence that links Ben Doughty with the murder or with the theft or whatever, you say, well, that's a little bit different. That's forensic evidence. It's
Ben,
not. He hasn't been
Ben.
accused just willy nilly.
Ben, I understand that, but you and Michael and me, we can solemnly say none of us are experts on PEDs, right? So
No.
we don't know the measures, we don't know the substance, we don't know the possibilities. So why are we all just jumping on him?
But we know that Vada,
All I'm asking,
Vada accused him. They're not going to accuse him without.
all I'm asking is let due course take its place.
They're not going to.
Okay, so let's look at that then.
Physical
That
evidence,
is-
right? If
Yeah,
they have physical evidence, then they're going to make an accusation. Otherwise, they're
No,
not.
I'm saying due course.
So
Look.
okay, due course would be a B sample, which the chances of the B sample being different are astronomical, by the way, because
No,
it's the
that's
same
not
sample
due
cutting
course.
up.
That's not due course. The due course is if he didn't know about it and how it got into his system.
Wait a minute.
What about strict liability?
Look at this, Ben. Look what Fishlip writes here. I like this. Can you
Go
read
on.
that first, please? Creatine is.
It
Sorry,
says
ostarine
Ostarine is used for building
It
muscle.
would
Do you
explain
want to
why
read it or shall I?
it would explain why he wouldn't make weight. Absolutely, and he didn't even try to because he knew he
He
wasn't.
didn't make weight the fight before. The last fight he was 143, same weight.
What,
Okay.
against
But
Tank?
he did then too.
Are you sure?
No,
You said against Tank he didn't make the weight. I thought he did. That was 136. He made the weight for Tank.
He made the weight. He had to.
He made it, Gary. You can, this is the thing. I think it's really important we don't just make things up or just falsely remember things.
Yeah.
We need to stick to the facts.
No, he
That's
made
what we've
the
got to
weight
do.
to Tank, and he said he was dead at the weight, if you remember.
He did, and then he said, I'm going up to 140, and then he
He
came
said,
in at
"Let me go
143.2.
Couldn't
140.
make that again. Yeah, so we had problems at the weight then, right? So,
Yeah.
look, all I'm saying is he's allowed to fight his case before we crucify him.
No,
That's all. I'm not saying he's innocent. I'm saying it's extremely strange that you test negative for 10 weeks and then the day before and the night of you're positive. Whereas 4 days before, I think the last test he did was.
But you said you think Conor Benn's innocent, and he tested
I
positive
do
in the
think
middle of
he's
his
innocent.
camp.
I'm
So
not
it doesn't
saying-
make a difference as long as you think they're innocent, right? It doesn't make a difference.
I just do it. I don't think all the people are innocent, but I think some people are innocent. And I think there is room for error, and there is substances in certain supplements. And I think also there are strength and conditioning coaches who probably have their own agenda. And the fighters just
I'm not buying that. They can't put something unknown to the fighter in the fighter's diet.
Of course they can.
They're going to do that? No. They're not gonna- not unless they're looking to get them caught. Not unless they're looking to sabotage that fighter. I could see it. But to do it to say, okay, this is why I'm helping him make weight, and I'm going to put this substance that would cause him.
What's to say they're not trying to
his
sabotage
whole
him?
career. There's absolutely no way you would do. A guy would have to be mad.
Let me ask you a question. What's to say they're not trying to sabotage him? What's to say he's just got a new trainer, which he did? What about his old people that he left, dumped? Now he's getting massive paydays and they're not getting paid. There's many reasons and motivations for people to do stuff. I don't know. I'm not saying
we can't go down these rabbit holes every time someone gets
exactly. Yeah.
No,
we can't.
but I think you can't just write people off and say you're guilty. You have to give them a chance, right?
Julian McGowan was a Garcia fan. He disrespected the sport. Drugs cheat. Labs don't get it wrong. Absolute cheat. No gray area. That's what I said. Ben bang
to rights.
Yes.
That's a British term. For like I say, due process is fair enough, Gary. He's entitled to a B sample, and that's about it. Really, you can't really do much more than test the B sample. If that comes up the same, then then you're guilty. You are.
Yeah.
Well, my issue is, look, we all know boxing is the seediest game in the world, right? It is. The politics are disgusting. The bullshit. The people. The manipulation. Everything from A to Z in boxing is a tough business.
Well, the thing is, because there isn't one overarching organization that oversees everybody. So wherever you go, there's always something.
A lot of individuals with a lot of individual motives. I don't think that every time a fighter gets busted, that I would say, if I'm a gambling man, out of 50, at least 10 of them probably were innocent. Maybe 40 were guilty.
Well, why do you think that, though, Gary?
Because I believe in the spirit of some of the people that are fighters, and I'm not sure about Ryan Garcia. I wouldn't say that about him, but I would say it about Conor Benn. I don't think it's in his DNA to do that. The little I know about Conor, I don't put it in his DNA that he's that kind of person. I don't think his dad would even give him the time of day if he did. I think his dad is an ego maniac in a healthy way. I think Nigel's like, he's so against any of that shit. I think they're good people. Even Eubanks Senior said, I don't believe this kid, and he knows him, would never do it. I just think certain characters, it's really a long stretch to see him do that kind of stuff. And I think so. Some at least maybe innocent, and that's all. If we,
I'll tell you the ones who are always guilty.
Can't write off based on our.
Well, there's guilty ones because it depends on character. A lot of the guys.
I'll tell you who's always guilty, Gary. I'll tell you who's always guilty. The non-commercial animals. They always get a big ban slapped on them. 4 years, 2 years, whatever. Nobody gives a damn because they can't earn anybody any money. They're always guilty. They never get Gary stretched.
They don't have the money to. They don't have the money to keep them at bay either. I mean, that's mostly what it is. A lot of times, the court they don't want to fight because they know it's going to be an extensive battle. The guy has a lot of resources. It's going to take a lot of resources for us to come back at them. So they let it skate or they give him a slap on the wrist and let it walk. That's what happens in everyday society, right? Look at these big conglomerates and businesses when they go askew of the rules. And what do? You barely slap them on the wrist because you know it's going to be in court for the next 20 years. You'll never see a result if they get the team together.
I just wish, for the love of humanity, that something happens now. He gets tested and he shows his innocence. I would just like that to happen for once, so that every fucker on the bandwagon who's jumping on him now would just hold the horses in future. I'm not asking them to say everyone's innocent. I'm just saying let due process. It's getting long in the tooth. We know it, Ben, and we're sick of getting this drug thing keep coming up in our sport, which we all despise. We all know it's a contact sport. People die. I have no room for people who take drugs in the sport. But as a human being, and I've been on both sides of the fence in life, meaning I've had fights and won them, and then people try and charge them, beat them up. What? Because I won in the street. So, now they want to sue you because you're a boxer. Like, it's not for, I just think we can't just write everybody off who gets accused of something. I know there's evidence, lab evidence. It's a tough nut to crack, but if we just write everybody off, we've no chance moving forward. We should be innocent till proven guilty. there should be room. How did this get in his system? How much is in his system?
Well,
What's the possibilities? What substances have this?
the burden of proof is now in Garcia's corner, and that's why he needs to do the B sample. The proof,
Right. So, and also, it's like,
to do that.
I mean, this is a drug that they give to cancer patients in women to help bone mass when they're losing bone mass. This is a 23-year-old kid in the
It doesn't matter. If you look
I
at
understand what you're saying.
It helps you make weight. It helps you burn fat and build muscle, or without losing muscle, it's good for weight making.
You know what? You could say that about fucking aspirin. You can find good things in it.
No, come on.
But you're allowed to take
you
aspirin,
can.
right?
You can find. They can give you all these details. I understand. I just think that you shouldn't jump on someone, bad enough. And the funny thing is, I've done testosterone in my life, right? Yeah. Trust me, testosterone does not help a boxer fight.
I would think if scientists,
you could get 10 of my opponents that I beat. You could get 10 of my opponents that I beat, 10 of Michael's who his beat, 10 of yours who you beat, Ben. Give them all testosterone, and we'll still beat them. That's just the reality. That's the cold hard truth.
Well, yeah, but that's not the point. It's banned. You're not allowed to take it.
I understand that, but
yeah.
What you're saying, Gary, you're saying doesn't make sense. He took it. He's a young man, so he wouldn't have taken it anyway. Seems like a nice kid, or so he wouldn't have taken it. He took it on the wrong day for it to do him any good, and it wouldn't even do any good no matter when you took it. I mean, this is. I'm imagining this unfolding in court, and this is a bad day for the defense.
Yeah, that would be. Yeah. I would say your defense is a little bit obtuse at this point.
I don't have a defense. I'm not defending him. I'm defending the right to be innocent till proven guilty.
Yeah. Well, but innocent till proven guilty is a massive misnomer after you fail the drug test. That it doesn't work that way.
Yeah,
that's in a court of law. This is not a court of law.
Now on Garcia, the burden of proof.
I know a girl who got a DUI for taking fucking NyQuil or some medicine, and then they found out later, and she got off with it. So there's things that happen. It is what it is.
This guy's joking, by the way. I hope he's.
Yeah,
joking.
I believe he must be joking. Yeah,
it's
all conspiracy because he made a
Haney diss track. They couldn't hold it.
It's actually funny. It was a good diss track. I mean, it was a beat.
I'm not defending Ryan Garcia. I didn't like the way he behaved. I think Haney's a better ambassador for the sport. I'm not a big fan of the.
They both leave a lot to be desired.
No, I'm not a big fan of the Haney, like the dad and this and all the bullshit. But seems like a decent kid. He's respectful. He's a good ambassador. I'm not happy with the way Garcia performs. I don't think it's cool. I don't think it's cool when kids are watching you drinking beer on the scale. All of that shit, you should take a slap for. However, I don't think that we should. Anybody who gets found, okay, it's not good. So let him have the due course and then crucify him.
It should be revealed that Mr. Stretch has a horse in the race.
Well, let's get to that. Let's cut to the chase. First of all, the more global situation. Will it be declared a no contest? There appears to be noises that way. You think it should be, I know, Silk. It should be declared a no contest as things stand.
No, it shouldn't
Gary's
be.
Gary's going to say
no. It should be a win.
I know. I'm not saying.
Wait a minute. It should be a win by disqualification for Haney.
He actually wants to win. He wants another point, Gary.
It's not that I want a point. It's just the fact that he cheated. He outwardly, everything proven, everything what it is. You know what I mean? That he lost the fight because he cheated. So there shouldn't be a disqualification or a no contest. None of that. You lost. That's it.
Hard line.
Different.
I don't know what to say other than if we disregard all of that, I did win the battle.
Well, okay. So what are we going to do about the scoreboard situation? Because I
we
know
leave it until the case is settled.
Well, we'll leave it till if it comes out the way you and I thought it should, Ben, and the way the laws.
Then we'll reverse it.
Work.
Yeah.
Then no, it's not reverse. It's already in the mix. But we should definitely be given the win, and Gary should be suffering the L.
That to me that's a bit strong. I would just take the win away and take a loss off each other. But
Why?
No, you know what Silk wants? Silk wants me to be banned for 2 fights.
No. I mean,
he thinks I'm an active. I'm a conspiracist.
he has previously suggested we test you before you come on. But
yeah, I think I should be punished, and I should have 2-fight ban. And
not for steroids though.
yeah.
No, but for real, I mean, come on. The fight.
It's unfortunate. I'm with you guys. I promise you, I'm not. I am throwing the other side of the fence just to say be open, and it's just let it take due course. If he's guilty, I'm sure they will find he's guilty.
Oh, I'm absolutely open to it. No problem. But you just know, like, people play these games. They keep it. They find somebody that can all of a sudden twist the reading to mean something else, and back and forth, and before you know it, I mean, listen, our attention spans aren't even that long. You have other fights coming up now. We'll be on to that in no time. So the defense's issue is they're going to try to extend this to the point where people are just going to say, whatever, let it go. Who cares?
Well, they did with Conor Benn to an extent. So that was kind of what happened.
Exactly. So that's all. They're going to play all those games to deflect from what actually happened, and we can't deny what happened immediately. What we saw, like the results, we saw a bigger Ryan Garcia. He was extremely active. He wasn't the same. It's almost like he was everything he was hitting that kid with. He was dropping them, and that's the thing. That's what these enhancing drugs.
They do not advance.
They make you hit harder. They make you hit faster. They make you
recover quicker. They make you train harder.
Yes, consistently, and yes, and in training you can do all that too.
I don't believe they make.
And not only that, psychologically they give you an edge because you're taking something and you're thinking to yourself.
One second, Gary, you're about to say you don't.
Even if it was a placebo, Ben. Even if it was a placebo, if a person believes it's something that's making them stronger, it will. So that's all.
I don't believe that strength makes you hit harder. Bodybuilders can't fucking break.
Let me tell you something then, Gary. 1 second. You remember Larry Olabamiwo, right? Big Larry.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I trained him as an amateur at the Repton Boxing Club, and I trained him after his pro career was kind of on the downside, and he decided to go on the road. Now he was knocking people out when he was with Frank Maloney, and he was knocking people over at first on Sky TV. Just the usual suspects, but he was knocking them out. Then suddenly, after he got popped for his first fight with Ashley Sexton, and he was revealed to have taken EPO, then he later admitted not only had he taken that, and by the way, he paid for the B sample, even knowing he was guilty. He paid for the B sample. He just chanced his arm. Paid £1,000 for the B sample, even though he knew he was juicing. Then it came back the same, and in the end, he admitted to me as well. He said, "Yeah, I did take the EPO." Now. Then he got banned. Then he came back a little while later on the heavyweight international prize fighter where he fought Jason Gavern, the American cop, who also fought Anthony Joshua and a few other leading lights. And Larry never made anybody blink, never put anybody over, never made anybody so much as blink after that once he was clean. Never even hurt anybody with a shot. All right, his ambition was gone. He was playing the game and being a journeyman. But I know sometimes he was throwing punches at these guys, and he never made anybody blink after he wasn't on drugs.
Strength doesn't make you hit harder.
I understand that I've got my feelings about power, and I spend all day teaching people to punch.
The arm is the postman, delivers the mail. The weight.
That's true, but
transformation of weight, the timing, the speed.
It does more than physically make you stronger. It changes your aggression. It changes how you like. It's like you punch with intent. And when you punch with intent, you start punching with purpose, and you got more power because you like a lot. It makes you more aggressive. It takes you
punch with intent off whether you're on or off drugs. You still punch with intent.
Julian McGowan says once Manny Pacquiao had the heat on him, he stopped very few people. After Cotto, Hatton, and accusations, there were no KOs. I do think it makes you more devastating if you're on all this stuff under the sun.
Absolutely, both emotionally and physically. Absolutely. Without a doubt.
What's the difference between a woman and a man's punch? This guy, Fishlip asks.
Well, the man's skeletal structure is bigger, stronger, harder. The muscle is heavier, more dense.
Bone density, everything.
Yeah. The bone density, the muscular.
So there must be some strength involved there then, right, Gary?
The size of the fist, you know what I mean, changes everything.
I'm sure there's some very big hitting women.
Yeah.
Well, big women are going to hit you hard too. So if they know how to hit.
I mean,
here we go. Heads increase strength and frequency. You train harder, more intensity, bound to get more stoppages. That's Julian McGowan. Julian McGowan is a knowledgeable boxing coach as well. You know, he's operated at a decent level. You know, so he knows his stuff.
I understand. The main thing with PEDs, they give you some strength. Yes, better recovery. So all conditioning, all of that. Yes, 100%. As far as punching power, I disagree.
But we're not really debating ultimately what they do for you. They are banned. You're not allowed to take them. We've got a guy who doesn't even try to make weight, comes in over 3 pounds over, wins based on his power. That's the only thing. He lost more rounds than he won, but he battered the man in the other rounds so much he got the win legitimately. Well, looked like legitimately. Then he fails a drug test. You think there's certain caveats with it, and you're not ready to throw the book at him yet or to condemn him yet. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. But
I'm just saying, Ben, let him have a fair trial, then throw the book at him.
Okay, because that's what we're dealing with. He didn't try to make the weight, then he's failed 2 drug tests in the build-up, regardless when it was. That is
ultimately, it's been done already anyway. Whoever believes in Haney is going to believe in Haney, and whoever believes in the other kid is going to believe in him. And then so no one's really going to flip camps. That's just the way all the conspiracy stuff works. You can all the evidence in the world will come up against Garcia, and it'll prove him to be. And certain people will still say no because, like what Gary stated. Gary said, Victor Conte was with the Balco, and he did this, that, and the other. It's crazy. It's crazy.
I saw someone even mentioned Donald Trump in the mix. Somebody even cited Donald Trump's influence somewhere. I forget what it was, but I swear.
No, it was because Garcia was a Donald Trump supporter, so they're trying.
That's it. That's what they said, Silk.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not saying I'm neutral. I'm saying if he's guilty, throw the book, but at least let him defend himself. Yeah. That's it. Before we all jump.
Well, he is defending himself. He went on Twitter and made a very mature rebuttal yesterday. He had these 2 clowns in the background saying lies.
Let's have due process and then make a choice when he's had a fair chance.
Okay.
All that doesn't make for a good show, so forget it.
Well,
okay. I think that was the first segment. We've spent 32 minutes on that. Shall we move on and watch this space?
Well, I do want to state that. What are the records now?
You know what? He's 14-4 without any interference or re-adjudication.
17-4, wasn't it?
13. No,
14-4. You're 14-4.
No, so it's really 13-5. It's going to be. And what am I?
No,
I believe, Silk. You're 11-6. I believe.
11-6. So actually, it's going to be 11-6. Is going to be 11 or 12-5.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 12-5, and you are.
I think I'm 11-9. 11-9.
You're 11-10.
Well, you're going to be 12.
Okay, you got it. Go 11-10.
11-6, Silk.
So I'm going to be 12-5, and you're going to be what?
Look.
I'll be 12.
Look.
I would be 12-9.
And what's Gary? You can't see that.
I got it, Gary. I got it.
11-10, Ben. Silk 11-6. Gary stretched 14-4.
So basically, no matter what happens, you're still in the league.
Are you saying I'm taking the PEDs because I'm beating you on this?
No, you're not. But first of all,
make my 10 more powerful.
You're going to be 13-5. You're going to be 13-5 after this one.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Ben had the audacity last week on a private conversation with me saying, Gary, can we wipe the slates clean and start again? And I said, Ben, you record your records, son.
What I said was, wouldn't it be fun if we had seasons and we went back to the start at some point? Yeah.
He said, just let me start from new. It's like he thinks I'm his wife and he's fucked up his whole marriage. And now he says, can we just forget everything?
I just want a second chance, Gary. We'll all move forward together.
I said, Ben, I'm sorry, but your record is your record, son.
All right, no worries. I can live with it. Listen, do you want to move on we spoke about Canelo last week, you and I, Gary, but we still wasn't in on it. The
Yeah.
fight is tomorrow night in Las Vegas. Jamie Munguia. What's been a bit entertaining is the sideshow, to be honest, Gary, with Oscar De La Hoya and Canelo Alvarez going back and forth at one another.
I think it's a bit distasteful. I think that, I mean, I'm not a fan of Oscars. I'm not an enemy of Oscars, but I think if he's got a beef with Canelo, that's his thing. You shouldn't shit on the fight parade. It's like, let them have the. It's like you know, this young.
Go at him first. He said, "Put some respect on my."
Yeah, on my fucking name.
Put
Like,
some fucking respect on the name.
This is too, you know, a big event for Mexico. They've got this young kid, Munguia, is his biggest fight of his life. There's an event that, you know, these guys should be getting the spotlight, and then to put spotlight on a feud that's been going on forever. There's a time and a place. They should leave that alone and let this guy have his night. You know, so you know. I'm sure there's truth on both sides. I know that promoters have a big place in guiding a fighter's career, but you can't say Golden Boy made you. Canelo made Canelo. They give him all the fights in the world. If he can't fight, he's not going to win them.
Agreed.
So I think it's a little distasteful, and I think it's at the wrong place.
You're saying distasteful on De La Hoya's part?
I think, yeah, let these guys have their night, and then if you want to put it in the public about your fight with Canelo, do it. Why spoil Munguia's night? You know what I mean? Like, why is the overriding light, instead of being on the fight, it's on the fucking promoter and the ex-fighter? They get more newspaper prints because of that than the fighters, and the biggest fight of the kid's life.
I love the way Canelo swears, actually, Saj Ali. It's hilarious.
Cool.
He doesn't know, he doesn't know when he went mad because Kalen Plant said motherfucker. He thought he called his mother.
Yeah. Oh yes.
Now he's using the word motherfucker himself. So.
He's conversing with it now. Well, you know, it's as De La Hoya left that particular press conference that day, he said that's defamation. You know, he said the facts are the facts. He did fail 2 drug tests, but trying to say I stole money, that's defamation. He says I've got something for him. You know, intimidating. He was possibly going to issue some kind of lawsuit against Canelo, but regardless of that, to be honest, the fight itself.
It really wouldn't have legs. And did De La Hoya prove guilty? Like, it was his. What was the read of his? Did he? Prove
Well, it was only said 2 days ago, whatever it was, or less than 2 days ago. So who knows? I mean, it would take a while to play out.
They were talking about De La Hoya taking performance-enhancing drugs.
No, we're talking about Canelo.
Oh,
Canelo failed drug tests, and he said
that. Yeah, I heard about that. Yeah,
and then Canelo came back with De La Hoya stole money. You know, that's what he does. He steals money.
Okay, so that part was defamation. That was the part that was defamation.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
You need to be a little clearer in your explanation.
But in regard to the fight,
you, I do. Yeah.
In regard to the fight, I think that there's 2 main things that I think we have to consider. First and foremost is people are jumping on the John Ryder bandwagon that Munguia did a better job. Number 1, he did. Number 2, he fought a very soft a softer version, a tenderized version of Ryder. I think Ryder must have given everything for the Canelo fight, biggest fight of his life, his last hooray. And I think obviously losing that, I think the next fight is not going to be the same guy. So I don't think it's fair on Canelo that he fought I think he fought a lesser rider, Munguia. And secondly, I think that if you look at Munguia's record, he's been hurt a hell of a lot of times, even though he's won fights, he's been hurt a lot. And he's fought much lower quality of opponents. Canelo's fought higher quality and not been hurt. So I think if you just look at logical, as long as Canelo is not super on the slide, I think he stops him inside 8 rounds.
I'm kind of in agreement with you. Even if it goes a distance, I just feel that Munguia's come forward style will suit Canelo. I think he'll be able to do the things he does well. And I struggle to see how obviously anybody can win. We've seen plenty of upsets even while we're doing the show. But I just think in terms of the durability of Canelo, the offense, offensives of Canelo. The fact the guy's going to be right there to hit, you think who's going to be in front of him.
I'm, I'm going out on a limb because I think Munguia, he's a big puncher. I think he could catch Canelo sleeping on him and not paying attention. Maybe he thinks it's the softest touch of Canelo's career. And I think the kid could come out and actually surprise him, catch him on the chin, drop Canelo, and keep him down in a stunner.
Is that what you're picking? You're predicting the KO for the underdog, yeah? Munguia, yeah?
No, just kidding. Yeah, no.
No. I was going to say, because somebody said you can get really good odds on Canelo to get decked, but to get up and win.
Yeah,
I don't see that. I think it'll be a much more one-sided fight than we think, and that's.
Interesting.
Well, it won't be more one-sided than you think, obviously.
Canelo does these things like what a lot of fighters did, like Roy Jones did later on. Like he'll put a guy in check, he'll hit him, and you can go the distance with him as long as you don't get too randy. You know what I mean? Once you start getting a little bit too active, then they just start hurting you. Like Canelo or Roy Jones Jr., for instance, starts putting the pain on you, and it kind of puts a fighter in check. They stay in line. You can go the distance as long as you don't try to get, don't be a hero.
Yeah, don't get my rag out. Jack Johnson actually said that to Jim Johnson, that when they drew in Paris in must have been 1912, I believe. And he said, listen, I've not been in the ring for a while, so you know the thing, you know the score. Don't get my rag out, he said to him. Which I think that's a great phrase from a champion to an opponent. Like, listen, don't get me mad, don't get me annoyed.
What's the rag like? Is it like one of those sayings like, she was ragging on, she's on the rag?
Yeah, I guess so, because people talk about losing their rag, meaning when you get annoyed, if you lose your rag with somebody, it means you lose your temper. So I guess he said, don't get my rag out, don't get my temper out. But there's this guy Boxing Pro, the account said, what's my take on Anthony Yard versus promoter? I'm guessing he's talking about the discord recently with Anthony Yard and Frank Warren. Without wishing to get deviate the subject we're talking about, very quickly, I'm not really sure what's going on there, Boxing Pro, but I do know Tunde Ajayi reasonably well, and Anthony, I've known him for a while, so I will ask them. I'm due to go pay him a visit down in Ilford where they train, and I'll ask them what's going on there, because I went to a press conference today that Frank Warren was hosting for 2 new signings he's got, including Nassim Hamed's son. So I'll chase that story up for you, because I don't really have a view on it right now. So we're all picking Canelo, right?
Yeah, we're all going Canelo.
There's another fight on Monday. We're going to go live on Sunday, so we can wait then if you want. But Naoya Inoue is fighting on Monday in Tokyo against Luis Nery, so we could leave that one until Sunday if you prefer.
Why not? Otherwise, you'll have nothing to talk about Sunday.
In a way,
I mean, there's always something, but yeah, for sure, we should. I think we'll defer that. The only thing about Inoue, like I say, we were talking on the last show, Gary, where the Silk wasn't present on, and we're both pretty high on Inoue, whereas the Silk's a little bit more, he's not quite coming along with that bandwagon. He says whenever his name is cited as one of the very best fighters in the world, like one of the top 3 fighters in the world anyway, Silk's always like wants it qualified and wants to know why and what's so impressive about him. So
yeah,
that's his take.
But I mean, he is excellent, obviously. Being in the top 3, I'm not sure. I
think you've not seen enough of them.
I think I've seen it.
I think you've seen a few.
Listen, it's probably because I haven't been in the ring with him. I'm sure he hits like a demon, but well,
he definitely beat you because weight's got nothing to do with anything. Right. Do you know what's weird, Gary? While we're on it, because you've been getting a lot of stick this week, and feel like it's a sugar and silk versus stretch this week with the Garcia thing. To turn it around, Michael Alajere believes that size and weight are very overrated and almost non-factors in boxing sometimes. It's all like skills. But he believes that 16-ounce gloves are much more injurious than 8-ounce gloves because they're bigger and heavier. Is that an anomaly? And if not, why not?
In a concussive sense. Now, obviously, these lighter gloves are going to get you cut. It's going to get you bruised, lacerations, all the rest of that kind of stuff. I'm talking about a knockout punch.
Because you think size is important when it comes to 8 ounces of gloves, but not when it comes to 2 stone or 3 stone a man.
I think it's ludicrous. I think 8 and 10 ounce gloves, much harder punch KO wise than a 16 ounce.
No, the pain, they'll give you pain, but when you get Gary, when you get concussed, or maybe you don't know. I've never seen you hurt. So but when you get concussed,
Only when you shout at me.
you
Yeah.
emotionally is not different, is different. But when you close your fist and you hit somebody with a light glove, yes, you feel pain, but pain isn't a part of the equation. Pain is when you get concussed, when you get hit with a knockdown or a knockout punch, there's no pain you feel as a fighter, right? Am I right or wrong? You may feel pain.
The only time I got dropped properly, I woke up when my ass hit the floor.
Yeah.
I didn't feel a thing. I just remember when my ass hit the floor, I looked up and thought, what happened?
So there's no pain involved at all. Not the kind of pain like you get hit with a body shot, you get hit in the solar plexus and the liver, all that kind of stuff. You feel pain and it's crippling as well as physically debilitating, but you feel like it, and your brain registers it. When you get hit with a knockout shot, your brain does not register. So people keep going back to, he's bleeding. You're bleeding, you do not feel pain. Maybe you do.
I agree to a point, but I think there's a point where it changes. For example, they all talk about UFC gloves. I think an 8-ounce boxing glove is far better to knock someone out than the little UFC gloves because it really protects and structures the hand and gives a real.
It allows you to punch harder.
Yes, and but I think an 8 to a 10 does the job
optimum.
Perfectly. But as you get to 14 and 16, I think there then becomes a slight difference in padding and weight. And I think that it does.
That's the part of the equation you're leaving out, Gary, weight. So we're talking about an extra 8 ounces of weight in your fist that you can now, if you project it right.
Why is that so important, though, Silk? But 3 stone of man doesn't matter, like Crawford versus Canelo and anything.
Say it again.
Why does a man being 2 stone heavier than another man not matter in a boxing contest as far as you're concerned? But if he's got 8 ounce heavier gloves, it makes all the difference in the world.
No, but we're talking about the glove, or we're talking about the man's weight. Like
surely there's the same principle here. You're saying that makes so much difference, 8 ounces of glove, but
no,
not 8 ounces.
I'm not saying a guy 106 pounds is going to punch like a heavyweight. I'm not saying that at all.
Okay.
But you know what I mean? That's not what I'm saying. It's not saying. I'm saying
you have been known to say that weight doesn't matter, and Ben's saying
we're talking about
60 and
I'm talking about abilities. I'm not talking. If boxing was the way it's supposed to be, which is about a man beating another man with his fists only, not laying on a guy like heavyweights. Of course, if you have somebody like Tyson Fury that's going to fight someone like Inoue, and he's going to lay on him and like lay all over him and do all that weight stuff. Of course,
I understand what you're saying, Mike.
Boxing is striking, literally striking. So whenever they get into a clinch, the ref's not going to allow them to maul them and do all of that stuff.
No. So let's say a strict punch. You're saying 8 ounces more on a glove affects the punch tremendously. Ben is saying, what about 3 stone more on the glove? Is that not going to make a difference
if it's
too?
Attached to the fighter, yeah.
Well, how much is 3 stone?
Well, let's say 30 pounds.
40 pounds, yeah.
20 pounds.
It's weight plus speed equals power. So if I'm going to lean in with a punch, if my momentum's going forward with the punch and that hits you, yes, of course it's going to hurt.
So weight does matter.
So yes, weight can matter, but technique is over all of it. So the thing is, I can do things to ride that weight, to ride your weight. And eventually you trying to move 30 pounds extra is going to catch up to you. Like there's benefits and there's negative.
What you're saying, what I don't understand is you're saying, I'm going to reverse what you're saying. You're saying that 8 ounce more weight affects the punch. I'm saying 8 ounce less weight, 8 ounce less weight on the glove is 8 ounce less protection when a 200-pound is coming at you.
Yeah.
From a body.
Because it does cushion it. The more padding does cushion blows to an extent. It has to.
Why would you say that? Because
if we're talking a zero,
is distributed throughout the fist. So what we're talking about is this. Oh, hold on, where am I? Right there. So the padding on an 8 ounce glove is like, let's say it's here, right?
Right.
And then the padding on like a 16 is going to be out here more. But
Right.
it's still like that padding. Let's say it's this difference. The rest of the weight is over here. It's on the wrist. It's on the back of the hand. It's not. It's not all concentrated on the impact point.
So let me ask you, Silk. Do you think they obviously spar in big gloves, like even 18s and 20s, some of the heavyweights, yeah,
Yes,
because
yes,
they want to protect themselves and they don't
yes.
want things to be too severe? Would you say they're better off with 6-ounce gloves in the gym just for safety's sake?
No, because you get cut, and that's
Because they'll get cut to pieces. Right.
the reason why they created bigger gloves is so the fighter can get to the fight because they get last. If everyone were bare knuckle when boxing was bare knuckle fighters, and everyone was getting cut. So when you go into a fight with a cut, it doesn't make any sense. So they're like, oh yeah, so listen, wear gloves, and then when you get to the fight, you can fight bare knuckles. That's the thing. They go and they start watching fighters and they see the sparring is more exciting than the fight. Because if you're a bare knuckle fighter, the last thing you want to do is hit someone on the forehead and then you can't fight at all. So if you're sparring for a fight bare knuckles, there's no way you're going to make it to the fight without hurting your hands. And then that's going to affect the outcome of the fight. So what you do is like, okay, so put the gloves on and let's, 16, protect your hands. Let's just take it to the shortcut like that. I'm sure the gloves evolved in a different way. They watch the fight, they watch the sparring session and they say, this is more exciting than the actual fight because all they do is look at each other like this. And that's why the fights are going 100 rounds and 90 rounds and 50 rounds because they just look at each other and they have to be very peculiar. They have to be very, like, Ben, you could go to lunch, take a nap, come back, and that fight would still be on. That's how boxing used to be. You come back and catch it in round 50. You know what I mean? And so now with the fights, with the glove, with the hands protected, one, you get more knockouts. And why do you get more knockouts? The hands are protected, yes, but also the weight of the hand. There's more weight in the hand. So if there's an extra pound on that hand that's hitting you, of course it's going to cause more concussive damage. I'm not saying superficial damage. I'm not talking about pain.
And I understood that when we had this the other day.
Damage. Yeah, that's it. Concussive, nothing else.
Moving on.
And I spent John Scully, who obviously thinks you talk an awful lot of sense about boxing. He really has a thing about it. He's like, he is 1000% wrong about this one. He's really strongly in disagreement, isn't he? But,
and Saj Ali, look at what he said right here. He said, I've seen footage of Tommy Hearn sparring an ancient Muhammad Ali in the Bahamas, I think. Tommy appeared to go full pelter and didn't put a dent in Ali. And I'll tell you that's absolutely wrong. He hurt Ali. He absolutely hurt Ali. Yes, absolutely. Middleweight or not, no, you feel it.
Well, he'd have been a welterweight then, Michael.
Okay, so welterweight. Even then, he still hit hard enough, and you catch the shot like that from on the chin, and you're getting buzzed. Ali took a great shot, forget it, but you know what I mean. Even still, it's still he's hurting Ali. He was getting hurt. He was getting buzzed. No doubt about it. I would put everything on it. Everything that I own on it, he was buzzing them. That's for sure.
Yeah. Wow.
So, it obviously like transferring 230 pounds is different than transferring 147 pounds. But I know for a fact I've worked with guys when I was a lighter fighter too. And I definitely heard heavyweights. And I've even had heavyweights I sparred with and they're saying like, why are you loading up? You have to, like, you as a lighter fighter, you feel like you have to punch harder for that man to feel you, but it's not true. He has nerve endings as well as anybody else, any weight division. You know what I mean? It's like if I took a 160-pound bat and I hit you in the head with it, I learned to turn my weight over. You're not just gonna smile it off. You know what I mean? Unless you'd smile off any other fighter's punch too, whether heavyweight or light heavyweight or whatever. But if you know how to punch, you know how to turn that punch over properly, no one's going to be smiling when they get hit with that. No, it's absolutely not. And
that's true. But when you spar with heavyweights, and I sparred with some bigger guys too. I sparred Wayne Braithwaite, who was a WBC cruiserweight champion. Yes. But they are going a little easier on you because they're bigger guys. They are going a little easier on you. They're not bringing the same energy they bring to a guy of their own weight division. They're just not. You know that, right, Gary?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. In terms of because the sparring and the intent of sparring isn't to knock the guy out either. But I tell you what, if you start loading up on them and thinking you're all that, they're going to come back with the same energy.
For sure. Yeah. for sure.
They're definitely going to come back with
It's all about respect. They move
yeah,
around.
exactly. It's even when you have somebody who's an experienced fighter against somebody inexperienced. If that inexperienced fighter starts acting like they're doing something, they're going to catch a beat down.
Yeah, I've sparred lighter guys who've tried it on a bit, and I've put them in the place. I don't care that they're lighter. If you want to try it on, then
you want to get your rag out.
Well, I'm gonna.
It's like that. It's like that poodle versus the pit bull. That little or that chihuahua, which got the attitude, but look, let that pit bull come back at it. It's a different thing.
Yeah, the pit bull's cool, but if the chihuahua goes after him, he's going to deal with it.
Yeah, exactly.
That reminds me of when Teddy Atlas had a go at George Foreman. Do you remember that? I mean, we spoke about this, I think, Silk, but he kind of looked like he was trying to attack Foreman in some way. He jumped up at the press conference and started shoving him, but Foreman was still in his seat and wasn't even going to get up for this.
What fight was that, sorry?
The Holyfield and Mora. Sorry, the Mora Foreman fight. Sorry, Mora versus George Foreman, and it was he was training Michael Mora to the Atlas, but he started shoving George for some reason, and George just said, "Go flip me a sandwich and sit down," or something like that. But
yeah,
the only way Teddy Atlas would hurt George Foreman is if he got stuck in his throat.
Yeah. And we know you're not a huge fan of Teddy Atlas. We've had that one out previously on the show.
Well, I used to be. I used to love some of the things he said, but now I think he's become a character of himself. So it's sad because I grew up. He inspired me a few times, but of late I find him an ache in the fucking jaw. To be honest, it's like when trainers become more important than the fighters. For me, it's or promoters. It becomes more important than the fighters, then it gets a bit distasteful. And it's I was a fan. Now I'm not so much.
No.
Saj Ali says, in fairness, Julian, Hearns did deck Andres, although
lots of times. God.
Yeah, in the manner he did Cuevas or Duran.
That's a good point. The way he destroyed Dennis Andrews, it was a big, strong light heavyweight. Or he may not have been an overly big light heavyweight, but he was a damn strong light heavyweight, and he was a lifelong, career-long light heavyweight. And I saw Dennis Andrews when I was really young, sparring a heavyweight at the Thomas of Beckett and knocking him around. And Tommy absolutely destroyed him. That was impressive.
Yeah. And so when you know how to punch, you know how to punch. And I don't know, I don't understand the kickback when people say that. It's kind of obvious to me.
Well, have we seen fighters who lost their power when they stepped up in weight or relatively lost it? Can you think of any really big punchers who just couldn't seem to do it at a higher weight?
I tell you, my
Bob Foster.
I tell you my experience, Ben.
Go on.
When I connected anyone in my weight, generally at junior middleweight, they went over, and I found Eubanks a lot more resilient, even though it wasn't a full fight and it was what it was. But I definitely felt less effective at that
Duran
weight.
was a devastating puncher at lightweight, right? But he was never a devastating puncher at any other weight. He could take you out one shot with lightweight.
But Duran was always a numbers fighter too. Like he was always numbers. It wasn't just one.
He could take you out one shot at lightweight though.
I don't.
Mayweather had a lot of knockouts in his early fights, stoppages, but
but it's also in his early fights too. So
and he was a lot more active.
He's fighting a particular brand of fighter.
What about Bob Foster, the absolute killer puncher at light heavyweight? He didn't bother the bigger boys so much. Terrell, Frazier, Ali.
Yeah, he never beat them, but because he couldn't take it the way he could dish it out. And these guys could get to him. You know what I mean? But I would think if light heavyweights could get to him, he wouldn't be able to. He wouldn't withstand their power either. That's the way it appears to me. But when he fought Ali, I think there was a time that you could tell he certainly buzzed Ali when he fought him. I mean, the only reason why Ali came back the way he did is because he felt that game.
Boys, let me ask you a quick question, Ben. You two can stay on. I have to go and do an email urgently before bed, and it's late here. I'm going to sign off.
Okay, no worries. We'll close it.
I'll leave you to close.
Good to see you.
Michael, always good to see you, Ben.
Pleasure's mine.
And if
Try not
Ryan Garcia needs any legal help, I'm going to give him your number.
I don't think I could get him off with much. I'll at least listen to him. I'm not sure I'll let me get him off, Ben, but I will listen.
Okay, nice one, champ. Always a pleasure.
On that
Thank
note,
you.
I'll see you soon. God bless. Goodbye, everyone.
Cheers. Cheers.
Mike
And there
Spinks.
were two.
Spinks. Julian McGowan said Mike Spinks when he moved up. He
Yeah.
wasn't punching the same. But he didn't. How many fights did he have at heavyweight, Mike?
I will do it for you now. 2 with Holmes,
Yeah.
Stephen Tankstead,
Yeah.
Jerry Cooney,
Yeah.
Mike Tyson. I
Uh-huh.
think that's your lot.
Yeah.
I think that's your lot.
Yeah. So I mean, against Cooney, who's a big kid, he certainly looked like a puncher to me. You know.
Yeah, but he had to hit him an awful lot, didn't he?
I don't know. I don't know really. Like I mean the upper
He was bouncing punches off him, Silk. He was bombarding him with punches, power shots, and it looked like one of them things. It really took a long time to get his attention, but he was going to get him eventually.
Yeah, I don't know, Ben. I don't know. I think that I don't know. He stopped him much more impressively than Larry Holmes did.
Yeah, but Jesus, what kind of a version of Cooney was that? When did those 2 fights happen? One was in 1982. The other one was in, I believe it was 1987, right? It must have been 1987.
But didn't Cooney
fight.
But Cooney was on a win streak.
No, he wasn't. He come out of nowhere. He'd been dragged out of active alcoholism, and he was apparently drinking 2 bottles of vodka a day at a time or something crazy. Cooney, honestly, trust me on that.
Oh, well, so then that dullens the nerves. He should be able to.
Should be fine.
Yeah, he should.
Yeah. See, I got to hand it to you. You will die on that hill. You are prepared to die on a hill.
No, I mean, I'm just to your guys' point. I'm agreeing with you. It's like,
yeah. But one thing we won't. Do you remember when we first started this show, just you and me?
yeah.
And one of the issues we said is we thought we were doing quite well, but we thought there's not enough disagreements. For some reason, we said we could disagree a bit more, or maybe we could take the alternative view. Like that was an issue back then, whereas it's not been a problem in recent months, has it?
No, that was your point. That was your stance on it. That wasn't my stance.
See, there we go.
I think you like the belligerence. You know what I mean? You kind of give energy to it. So
there's the update on Jerry Cooney's activity ahead of the Spinks fight. He'd had 86 seconds of work in 3 years, Cooney. He'd had 86 seconds in 3 years going into that fight. So no, it's nothing to do with the Holmes. You can't compare it to that. That was probably the best he was ever going to fight that night against Holmes in June 1982. But we shall see. We'll stay tuned. We could do a watch along sometime, for one of these big American fights in the small hours in the morning for us UK watchers. I don't know whether. I mean, I'll send you the thing you need to watch the fight, the Canelo fight tomorrow night.
Okay.
But maybe we should do a watch along sometime. Probably not this time, but soon, imminently.
Okay. And also, you were kind of slow on the follow up. We could have had Merkson for this weekend, so we're gonna have to try to put him off until the next following weekend. I really want to speak to him. Owen Merkson, Roy Jones.
I thought you had that. I thought you had that one. I thought you were managing that process, and that was that.
You don't get paid to think.
Yeah, well, exactly. Indeed. I don't know what they're paying me for, but as long as they're doing it.
So we kind of let that one fall to the wayside, which I don't want to, because I think that's a great conversation.
No, we need Merkerson. We need to do that one for sure. And we'll get a guest soon as well. We'll get another guest soon. I'm gonna chase up various possibilities for us on that front. But in the meantime, we'll call this one. It's been a pleasure as always, Silk. I will see you Sunday night when we will get to see. So, by the way, you were picking Canelo, right?
Oh yeah, picking Canelo.
So 3 of us are picking Canelo, so we're all on the same page this week, no matter what happens. Okay.
And then you have to take away a win. It's controversial right now, right? It's being talked about, being discussed. So that win for Garcia is not on Gary's record.
And the loss is not on ours either. And we'll come back to it when we come back to it. Okay. I'm going to change those then. So I'm
Okay.
just for right now. I'm going to remove it from everybody's. The digit, the lost digit, and the win digit is gone.
Yeah.
And then if it comes back the way you think it might do, then we're actually going to get a win, and he's going to get a loss. But for now, they just disappears like it didn't happen.
Uh-huh.
Done deal. Not a problem. You heard it here first. Thanks, guys. Thanks for watching us. Thanks for supporting us. We really appreciate the fan base we've got because you're all so clever and well informed. And right now, we don't have any of those kind of dickheads and trolls. We hope we'll get them at some point because it'll mean we get bigger. But for the meantime, it's really nice to have you a bunch of connoisseurs who are following us and keeping us company during these things. Please subscribe if you haven't done already. I don't know why people ask people to like videos, but it seems to be important. So why don't you like our videos too? In the meantime, be lucky, keep punching. We'll be back Sunday.